So I wanted to talk about the root of all pain and suffering among the human race, because there seems to be a hell of a lot of it. So I think that it's important for us as a species to try to figure out what the hell is this pain and suffering. Where is it coming from? Like, what's the cause of it? And I've thought about it a lot, And I think I have, might have the answer. Root cause of pain and suffering is two things. The first thing is fear. To be human, to be an animal, it is to fear. Because, we always weren't sitting here smoking cigars and drinking on some nice tasty drinks, Back in the day, we were getting preyed on by lions and tigers. We were experiencing mass starvations. We were having plagues and diseases. There's a lot to fear. And that fear, it was all built into our DNA. So those of us who survived, they survived by being worrisome and careful and not, being prudent. So that's built into our DNA, As part of the natural selection that led us to being existing in 2019. But this fear, my God, it causes a lot of problems. People, they let the fear control them. And nowadays, in the modern times, the fear is like the fear of getting old, the fear of failure, the fear of death, the fear of public speech. There's countless fears. And everybody has them. The fear of not being in control, The fear of not thinking that you can control every aspect of your reality. People have this intense fear about this kind of shit, It's just the human race, and I think that bogs people down a lot, and it causes a lot of pain and suffering as a byproduct of having all this fear. So people got to release that fear if they want to get better, if they want to reduce their pain and suffering. But there's a paradox here. There's a big time paradox, and this is the big question that I want to ask in this video right here that I'm making. The other fear, I said there's two. The other fear is the fear of being constrained, the fear of being constricted, the limitation of freedom, and the fear of that, or being, not even the fear, there's fear gives people a lot of problems and suffering, but I'm saying that also the lack of freedom, being a slave, is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering. Because I believe that we were born as free entities, and then as we go through life and get older and older, we realize that we're not really that free. We got a lot of weight on our shoulders and a lot of bullshit that we got to deal with in society. It's weighing us down, and that causes a lot of pain and suffering. The feeling of being restricted and constricted and being a fucking slave. Nobody wants to be a slave. Nobody that I know anyways. There could be some people out there that like that. Who the hell knows? The world is a big place, but a lot of the fear, I'm sure, it comes from that aspect, you know, being constricted and being a slave. And then the other one comes from fear. So it means that we need to get rid of all of our fear. We need to stop thinking about the fear. We need to stop letting the fear control us. And we need to be as free as we possibly can. And those two things combined, we can achieve like a great happiness. But here's the paradox. That can never happen. Because the problem is when you have fear, usually you're going to band together with other humans. Like that's just like a natural thing that social apes do, you know, like they just band together and they make the society. Okay, but what is a society? A society is like a collection of scared individuals. And remember that fear is built into our DNA, so it's natural for us to form societies. Just the formation of a society is 100% based on fear of the individual. So when that individual enters into the society has rules. So then now this person that just entered the society to reduce their fear, to be more happy, has to follow all these rules. For example, if you enter a religious society, like you're scared of death, you're so scared of death, you got all this fear, and then you enter this religious grouping, this cult or whatever, and they're going to tell you, like, they're going to solve all your problems and tell you all the answers, so all your fear is going to be relieved, and they're going to tell you what to do and how to do it, you know, and so then you're going to follow a very strict regimen of rules, but they're going to just let it happen, and then they're going to lose their fear. They're going to band together. It's just natural for humans to do it. But if I go in there and I start making up my own religion, they're going to kick your ass right out. So that's the problem. When you have your fear and you want to reduce your fear by joining a society, which is just naturally what we have to do, not being alone and vulnerable, you know, then we immediately lose our liberty. We lose our freedom, which is the other reason why there's pain and suffering for the humans. You know, loss of liberty on one side and fear on the other. But there's always going to be one or the other, you see, because if you reduce your fear by joining a society, which is a natural reaction for apes like us to do, then we lose our freedom. And then when we lose our freedom, we also suffer. So, or you can just live alone, but then you're going to be always scared because you're alone, you're vulnerable. So there's always going to be that suffering. It's like a balance. So that means we're always going to suffer. The human race was doomed to suffer. In our current state, you know, of affairs, I mean, unless our DNA changes and we can get rid of this fear, then, like more naturally, without having to band together with the whole society, you know, I don't know, maybe that's the kind of evolution that we should be, you know, hoping for. But I'll tell you this. There's like some kind of a deterministic aspect to letting go of your fears. You know, like you can say, like, I don't have any control over my life, so I'm not going to fear. You know, you don't have to join a cult or a society, but you can live alone as an individual, do your thing, and you know, just do that whole gig, you know, I mean. But if you want to do that, then you got to realize that you don't have control over anything. So it's a very likely possibility that nobody has control over anything. Like, we're born into this life, We didn't have control over that choice. And then when we die and how we die and where we die, we don't have control over that either. A lot of people think they do, but most likely we don't, you know. Now I have control over the next thing that happens 5 minutes from now. I mean, it could be an earthquake or whatever the fuck. I don't have control over that. To say that you have control over yourself is to say that you have control over everything. Because you are everything. You're part of the whole. It's all connected. So you can't control it. You know, you just can't control everything. So live and let be, have no control, whatever. But then what's going to happen? Then your ego's going to get dissolved. And that's not a good thing, because then you're not going to be able to achieve anything in life. Like, I feel like my purpose of life is to learn and study and get new ideas and think about things so I can talk about them with other people. Because I think that these ideas that I'm having, these philosophical ideas, I think that they're very important and very useful. I just hope there's somebody else out there that feels the same way. I got a lot of ideas. I've written books. I've written poetry. I'm going to start reading some poetry on this channel that I've done. Because I've produced a shitload of poetry. And a lot of it is metaphysical poetry, you know. So I've written short stories. I mean, anybody who wants to read any of my stuff, just hit me up. I'll give it to you for free. I'm not trying to sell anything. I just trying to show some ideas. So if anybody's interested in reading any of my stupid bullshit ass poetry, my metaphysical stuff, my writings, I've written 3 books. I've got a couple short stories that I've done. A whole thing of poetry. So journals, documents about farming. Right now I'm studying about mycology. I know how to take care of the honeybees, so if you got any questions about honeybees, hit me up. I can hook you up with some good information, baby. I grew pawpaws. I mean, I know a thing or two. So just I don't know, I guess to close out on these ideas is that there's a huge paradox between solving your fear by joining society and then losing your freedom, and then there's another paradox that's saying, like, if you release your fear by just giving up control, the idea of control, the perception of control, which may or may not be possible or not, or which may or may not exist. I mean, I don't know if I can control everything, actually. You know, to be honest, I don't know. But, you know, if you really believe that, then, you know, why would you drive your car safe? You know, you're like, somebody could crash into me any minute. So why should I try to drive safe? So see, there's some paradox there. If you try to drive safe, if you try to do anything, then you are, you know, not agreeing with yourself in that you don't have control over anything. So it's another paradox, man. It's real weird. I'd love to hear some answers to these problems. Alright, well, time to smoke this cigar, drink a little whiskey.